What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the DraftKings Picks and Prediction Show. We are here for UFC Sao Paulo. We have Jailton Amedia taking on Derrick Lewis. We have a 13-fight card, a card that I'm really looking forward to and looking forward to being back after a week off. We are here with Weezy, Gordo, and then Monk will be arriving shortly. He's behind a couple trains, but he'll be here in about 5 minutes. We'll kick it to you first, Weezy. Are you looking forward to UFC Sao Paulo?
Yeah, this is a great card, man. I mean, the fight I was most looking forward to, though, was Ribovics versus Brener. I thought that was going to be such a banger, but of course, whenever I really look forward to a fight, I can almost be like 80% sure that that fight will never happen or that it's going to suck somehow. So I'm going to stop loving fights before they happen. That's something I'm going to try to do, not just for the rest of this year, but as a New Year's resolution next year. But this is still a great card. It's a really great card. A lot of really fun, like old grizzled veteran versus young up-and-coming prospect fights on this one. The Bonfim brothers are very exciting fighters. So this is a fun card, and I can't wait to chop it up with you guys.
Yep, it's a fun card, especially this main event. Minus 10,000 for the fight doesn't go to decision. I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, we did lose the Ribovics fight, which sucked, but we do have a newcomer coming in, which makes the slate a little bit more interesting as well. So we'll talk about that. We got Gordo in the building. Are you looking forward to UFC Sao Paulo?
Interesting for sure. It is a card I'm looking forward to, man. It feels weird, right? You have that week off and you put your feet up, and when you come back, everything seems better, right? The card seems better. I'm looking forward. You guys look even better as well. So nothing that we can do more than break down this card, and I'm looking forward to potentially make some money on it, guys. So happy to be back.
100%. All right, before we get into it, if you guys could please do us a favor, leave a like, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio. We go live every Wednesday, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And I do want to shout out the chat before we get started. We got Elijah first one in here saying, "Let's go." We got 215% saying twerking for Dana. Probably one of the more disturbing comments I've seen this week, but he's twerking for Dana nonetheless. And we got Victor DeJesus saying, "What's up, gentlemen?" In chat, what is up, Victor? We got Yes Freak from Scottsdale, Arizona, watching us. What is up, Yes Freak? How you doing? Elijah got the Bonfim Bros in a parlay. Yep, most people do this week, and hoping the hometown boys can come through. And we got Nasty Nate. What is up, Nasty Nate? Lewis by KO. Lewis is always live for a knockout. That guy hits like a truck. All right, so we will get right into it then, guys. And Monk should be arriving pretty soon. We'll start with our fight to target. I'll kick this one off. I'm going to go with one that I think is going to be a little bit under the radar, actually. It's the first fight of the night. It is Mark Diakese going against Caio Fernandez. The fight doesn't go to decision, is only plus 105, which I think is the second most likely to go to the scorecards. But, I feel like this fight has potential to score well from both sides. I'm personally on the Mark Diakese side. I think he has more ways to win this fight. I think he has the majority of the decision equity as well. And I think he has wrestling upside as well. I did not like what I saw from Fernandez's takedown defense, especially once he got extended. So I think Diakese can go out there, mix some takedowns, and win a decision. But Fernandez is very dangerous, especially early on. And I think if Fernandez does pull off this upset, it's probably early. So I'm going to be targeting this fight pretty heavily, but the majority of my lineups are going to have the Mark Diakese side there. Weezy, what is your favorite fight to target for UFC Sao Paulo?
I have got Vieira versus Petrosyan as my favorite fight. It's a classic striker versus grappler matchup. 66.67% implied probability this fight finishes inside the distance. Armen scoring just under 3 DraftKings points per minute, and Vieira scores 3.47 DraftKings points per minute. So that's a really good pace on Vieira. Both guys are reasonably high volume. Both guys are priced in the mid-range this week. And Petrosyan has poor takedown defense, so I could see Rodolfo getting him down and potentially submitting him. And if he's unable to get Armen down and hold him there, I think there's a high probability that he's going to gas out in this fight and that Armen could potentially finish him late or really any time. If he lands one of those nasty body kicks, he's going to drop him. So whoever wins this fight almost surely covers their salary. And like I said, they're both in the mid-range. So I think it's a great striker versus grappler matchup, likely to finish where you're going to cover the cost of whatever guy is in your lineup.
Yep, I always like targeting those striker versus grappler matchups because whoever gets their way is typically going to score pretty well. And there's a couple of those matchups on here, and that's definitely one of them. Gordo, what is your favorite fight to target for this week?
Yeah, it makes sense that basketball back because I'm getting a layup on this one right here. We are taking the main event. It's like minus 10,000 not to go the distance. And is one that, you know what, you have to go out here and you have to at least address in this fight card kind of thing. Yes, very extensive price tag, a lot of things they go towards for sure. But when we look at the way that both these fighters go at it and what we're to expect from these guys, it's nothing short than a violent affair. On one side of things, you have Jailton Amedia, the streaking fighter there, averages 117 in his win so far. And he has been nothing short of perfect inside the octagon in front of his own crowd against someone who has been historically a bit of a quitter on the ground, taken down, destroyed in that first round by Spivak as well. He is someone at 9.6K who, yes, the salary is expensive, but someone you can go out there and target for sure. The flip side of things is you never bet against Derrick Lewis. A lot of the time he does have that one-shot knockout power. No one expected against Blades. No one expected here. It could happen again. Not saying it does, but definitely a reason to go out there and have a little bit of exposure on him as well to cover your bases.
Yep, that is definitely the layup. I couldn't believe that when I saw that this morning. Minus 10,000 for the fight doesn't go to decision. That means a 5-unit bet on the fight doesn't go to decision would get you 0.05 units. A 500 bet would win you $5, basically. I mean, we never see anything like it, but if this fight goes the distance, I might just not show up ever again. It just wouldn't make any sense. But looks like Elijah won taking that Lewis decision at plus 2,000, though. If Lewis won a decision, now that's something to be up if Lewis won a decision.
It's not even wide enough.
It's not.
I mean, think about it. I mean, like bet online opened the fight doesn't go to decision at minus 3,000, you know, so that means the just fight goes to decision is plus 1,400. So why wouldn't Lewis decision be like plus 4,000 or plus 5,000? Because he's not a minute winner. That's for sure.
Dude, if Elijah One gets this, if he gets it, Elijah One Dream is an absolute legend. We got Jacqueline in the chat. We got Londo in the chat. Lewis by KO would be wild. It wouldn't be the craziest thing we've seen. Yeah. I mean, Lewis, if he wins, it's by knockout, that's for sure. All right, we'll move on to the fight to fade. It's another one of these slates where it's like, you know, there's not a ton of fights I want to really go out there and fade, even on like a 13-fight slate. But Gordo, what is your fight to fade this week?
Yeah, you said it's really tough to go out there and pinpoint one that you think you got to fade completely. I'm going to go one that I'm going to be a bit under-owned to, and let me explain why. It's going to be Ismael Bonfim versus Vinc Pichel. Yes, it's not really fun to go out there and fade a Bonfim brother, especially in a card where they're projected to do so well. But to me, it's really hard to get to Ismael Bonfim at 9.5K against a grizzled veteran in Pichel, someone who is, yes, getting older, but has been very, very tough. And to go out there and roster Bonfim ahead of someone like Jailton Amedia or Eduardo Mara or Gabriel Bonfim, all this stuff, it's really tough to me to see. We saw Bonfim go out there and have the ability to be patient, go out there, wait till the second round to finish McKinney, allow him to fight against the cage there. And having that slow-paced affair and that mentality that he wants to win this fight at all costs can sometimes come with a lower score, right? Only 100 games McKinney at 9.5K. Is that optimal? To me, it's a big question. Flip side of things, Pichel, scrapyard dog, not counting him out here at all, but he is at a huge, let's say, away team disadvantage here, being the older fighter, being slower to the punch here. I don't think he wins too often, but to me, if I had to go out here and pick some of the high end or higher range, I'm not getting to Bonfim as much as I expected to.
Yeah, I went with that one to fade as well. I absolutely don't like Bonfim at 9,500 at all. I think that's I'd rather save 200 and get his brother, honestly. And then there's also another option I like. I like Almeida more. I like Renat Fakardina more. So I'm not touching Bonfim. If anything, it would probably be the dog of Pichel. But yeah, I'm right there with you. If I was to pick one fight to full out fade, it would have to be this one here. So I was trying to find something different, but there's really nothing else that I would want to go out there and fade. Maybe the Bukowskis fight, because it's a Bukowskis fight, but I kind of like Petrino there to potentially get a finish. So I'll agree with you, Gordo, on that one. Weezy, what's your fight to fade for this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be much help here, guys, because there's really not any fights to fade on this card, and I did write up Bonfim Pichel. You know, my stylistic read on this fight is that it's going to be close and it's going to go to a decision. That's my personal read, but Pichel is a solid punt play for this week for a high floor, low-priced option to throw in your lineup to get higher-priced dudes in there. But I think Ismael Bonfim at 9,500 is just a bad idea this week. Pichel is solid defensively. He's durable. He's got good lateral movement. This is in the big cage. I'm looking at my significant strikes template here. Vinc Pichel only is absorbing 31.89 significant strikes per fight. And he's going to decision, 80% of the time in his fights? So this guy is very, very sound defensively. He's very hard to find out there. And he can offensively wrestle too. So, I mean, I think it's more of, you know, Ismael Bonfim being the fighter to fade at 9,500 more than it is Pichel. But if you're somebody who's multi-entering, you're going to have a hard time finding fights that you don't want exposure to this week.
Yeah, looks like we all agree on that one. What is up, Frank? Pichel has 0 chance. I mean, I think everybody has at least like a little bit of like. What if Bonfim goes out there and gets hurt? I mean, you can never say somebody has a 0% chance, in my opinion. He's coming off hip surgery. I think I heard that as well. Pichel is coming off of a hip surgery there. All right, we'll move on to the fighter to fade. We'll start with our Uncle Weezy. Weezy, another tough question here. We got to find a fighter to fade.
Yeah, it's Ismael Bonfim for me this week because of the above reasons that I talked about. This guy, Pichel, is just somebody in a big sample size of fights that's only allowing like 2.2 DraftKings points per minute. And it's because of the way that he fights. You know, he's kind of either all the way out or all the way in. And he is a good offensive wrestler. He's got very bad takedown defense too. So we could see Ismael Bonfim actually getting a takedown or two here, because Pichel is definitely not known for stopping them. But that's not really Ismael's game. He's a boxer. He's a stand-up fighter, and a very good one at that. But when you watch Pichel fight, this guy at 40 years old isn't going to come out with a whole new style that we haven't seen before. Go watch the tape on him. He's going to be moving. He's going to be very difficult to find in a large cage, and I just think it's going to be a lower volume fight. So why pay up $9,500 for Bonfim when you could get $9,600 for Almeida, $9,400 for Mora? Everybody else that's above that $8,900 number, where we're finding, I think, Petrino is very playable this week. But Bonfim, in my opinion, has the lowest ceiling.
Yep, I'm right there with you. And we got Preston in the building. Dontel Mays fight week. It certainly is. Always nice to watch Dontel Mays go in there and do whatever he does. And then we have Alan saying Pichel has there we go. I mean, that's better than a 0% chance. A 0.1% chance would make Bonfim a minus 99,900 favorite. So people think he should be a minus 99,900 favorite. Gotta love it. For me, I'm gonna crap on Bukowskis a little bit. I'm gonna fade Bukowskis. I know he's cheap, but 7,200 for him, just because he doesn't really do much. I think a Bukowskis win looks a little bit like him staying on the outside, point fighting, making this fight as boring as possible. Maybe a little bit of clinch action going on. I just don't see a lot of upside. I'm not really sure he knocks out a guy like Petrino, because in order to knock somebody out, you actually have to throw something. So I'm going to fade Bukowskis. I don't really like. I guess I'd be with you as well, Weezy, in terms of fading Bonfim as well. But I already talked about him a bit. So yeah, I'm going to say Bukowskis for the fade. Gordo, who are you fading this week?
Yeah, I think when it comes down to making one solid fade up top, it is going to be Bonfim as well. Just to continue to harp on it, right? Like if we're going out there, we're comparing someone like. Even in the main event, if we go out there and take Almeida, who is minus 550 win inside the distance, or Gabriel Bonfim minus 300 to win inside the distance, or even Eduardo Mora, who is minus 160 to win inside the distance, all comparing towards someone in Ismael Bonfim who has less of a percentage. Why would you pay up? Why would you pay more for 9.5? That's really where it's going. If I had to pick somebody else to choose to fade as a favorite price tag, not something I love doing, but I'd probably fade Armen Petrosyan, 8.3K. I think it's a very competitive fight, but I think that when you have someone in Armen who is really predicated on that knockout shot, and someone who's predicated with that lower volume and the later finishes, we've never seen him score above 81 points. And he doesn't have that grappling equity or really ability to go out there and outscore the people around him, in my opinion, that I'm getting to him less often than I expected to. You add in the fact that Brener's going to have a lower, Brener's going to be more popular and be a larger favorite than the price tag it tails. It is really weird for me, or hard for me to get to Petrosyan 8.3K. I see his winning condition coming later in fights. So it'll be interesting. And if I did choose one other than Ismael Bonfim, it'd be him.
All right. So I'll move on to our favorite dog shot. I'm surprised Monk's still in here. Hopefully Monk's all right. I'm kind of getting worried at this point, but we'll see if he shows up. Wait, there he is. Look at that.
Right on cue.
I just said I was getting a little bit worried.
Yeah, I don't know if I muted or not. There always seems to be an accident on a Wednesday, right when all the interstates come together into one lane. There's always some idiot, it seems like. So my apologies, everybody. And I moved everything around. I don't even know where my camera is, but we are good to go.
It's all right. We'll do a quick rapid fire for you then. Quick thoughts. Excited for the card?
excuse me, very excited for the card. I think there's some great fights, some fighters I'm very excited to see. So for sure, I think it's a great week off of a bye week, 100%.
Do you got your fight to target?
Fight to target. I don't know who you guys picked. Obviously, the main event is a must play, especially in GPPs. I like Moira and Ruiz. I think the winner, probably Moira, but the winner has potential to make the optimal there. Petrino Bukowskis I like as well, and Caio Magomedov as well. Not so much the Borralho side, but we'll get into that later.
Fight to fade.
Fight to fade. My number one fade is whichever Bonfim is fighting Nicolas Dalby. That one is going to be my big fight to fade. I'm also going to fade the heavies in Nascimento and Mays. The only other one that I had was Gomez and Hill, and I don't really think I like that one. So we'll stick with the first two.
We got our guy Lou Betcha in the building.
Lou
what is
Betcha?
Up, Mr. Betcha. And then fighter to fade.
Fighter to fade, super quick. I think Marcos might be a little too expensive just because I don't know enough about him. And where is he at here? Victor Hugo. I want to see Victor Hugo in action, so I would avoid that one for GPPs. Armen Petrosyan's another one. He is a favorite, a cheap favorite, but I kind of like the dog there, to be honest. Plus, Armen, consistently not a good DraftKings scorer. Other than that, fighter to fade was Nascimento for the same reasons. Although his best score is the one he put up against Dante Almeida like 2 years ago. So I don't really know how much I want to fade him, but definitely the first two for sure.
All right, cool. So we're all caught up. We'll move on to our favorite dog, and we'll start with you, Gordo. Who's your favorite dog for this week?
Oh, my favorite dog. I think there's a lot of fun opportunities this week, but let's talk about a UFC newcomer here in Vitor Hugo, 7.3K. I just think his win condition scores very well. You look at his style, he is killer to be killed. Ignore the striker nickname. He will shoot early and often, and he goes out there and fights with fight-ending intention. He has very powerful shots on the feet, a very good ground game as well, and everything he does is to get his opponent out of there. That may tax on his cardio, but if we look at really the win condition for Hugo, it's not going to be outpointing Marcos to a volume-based decision. It's going to be knocking Marcos' head off or testing that ground game that is still relatively unproven on the Marcos side. At 7.3K, I think the ceiling is super, super high on Hugo, and although he may not win this fight 100% of the time, I do think that when he does, he scores very well in doing so.
Yep, I'll be talking about Hugo a little bit later. Weezy, what is your favorite dog this week?
It's Rodolfo Vieira this week for me. I'm picking Petrosyan to win this fight, but I can't ignore the upside that Rodolfo brings to the table, fighting in Brazil against a kickboxer with a sub 36% takedown defense, who's allowed almost 23% control time to his opponents, and one mistake on the ground against Vieira, and that's a wrap. So I think Rodolfo is going to be very live at the price, and he's hard to finish too. The dude is pretty durable if he doesn't gas out. So I think he's kind of got a high floor, but I think he's got definitely takedown upside and finish upside for this fight. It's, I think this one is minus 200 for fight doesn't go to decision. So bookies think somebody's getting a finish here. So I think Vieira is a good one this week.
Yeah, I went with Vieira as well. I just think it's a fight where he's going to get a lot of opportunities to finish the fight. Vieira, he can wrestle. He's averaging almost 4 takedowns per 50 minutes, and Petrosyan can't wrestle at all. He has probably one of the worst takedown defenses in the division there. And if Vieira gets on top of you, especially early, I mean, the fight could be over shortly after. So I like the grappling upside. I like the finish upside within the first 2 rounds. If it does get extended, we always have concerns about the cardio, but I'm aiming for that early finish upside there. Monk, who's your favorite dog for this week?
All right. I'm going to give you somebody way down the line here. And, this guy could get absolutely not steamrolled, but just shut down completely. And I'm talking about Abus Magomedov here. But at 7K, I mean, I like Caio Borralho to win the fight, but at 7K, I just think that we're giving too much credence to the Sean Strickland. Like, this dude fought Dustin Stoltzfus and won in less than 30 seconds. His second fight is the now champion. Yes, I think it was on short notice if I'm not wrong, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Fought the now champion Sean Strickland and got, lasted 9 minutes. I mean, I don't know what that says, but I think we're overreacting to that performance. And, while I do like Caio Borralho, he's no Sean Strickland. I don't mean he's not champ. I mean, his fighting style is completely different. Sean Strickland obviously is a walk you down nonstop, just never say die kind of guy with his striking. And Borralho, might have some okay striking. The DraftKings points certainly don't say that, but his grappling is what he's leaning on. So maybe Magomedov can test him in the striking a little bit. I mean, Borralho did take care of Muradov. Muradov probably the best striker that he's fought so far. I mean, Oleksiejczyk's got power. But yeah, we'll see how he handles Magomedov. I mean, personally, it's rough at the bottom of the barrel this week, but I think Magomedov first round upside is worth a shot at 7K.
Yep, he definitely has a ton of first round upside there. Don't mind it. We'll move on to the prize picks section now. We'll kick it to our Uncle Weezy. What do you like for prize picks this week, Weezy?
Yeah, I'm going with that under 48.5 significant strikes for Ismael Bonfim. Bonfim hasn't landed that many strikes yet in the UFC, and in Vinc Pichel's 9 UFC fights, he's absorbed more than 49 significant strikes one time in 9 fights. In addition to that, if you look at the division as a whole, the winner only gets more than 48.5 significant strikes 37.5% of the time. The loser about 21% of the time. So, with my little metric that I do here, I could see maybe a 35% chance of somebody in the division scoring more than that number with the current odds the way that they are, with Bonfim being an 82% implied favorite. So I think it's a really good one. The prediction for the amount of significant strikes that I have for this fight is 30.45, and we're getting a number of 48.5 for Bonfim. So I'm slamming that under this week. I like it. We know how good of a finisher Bonfim is too. He could jump on a submission here and end this thing quickly. Vinc Pichel has been submitted 3 times in his career. So yeah, I like the under on this one.
Yeah, looks like I'm taking a Bonfim prop as well. I'm taking the Ismael Bonfim less than 106.5. I personally don't really see him finishing Pichel. Pichel's super tough, and he is from hell. I think this fight does go the distance. I don't really think Bonfim wrestles. I mean, if he wants to, he can, but I mean, he's going to have a clear advantage on the feet, so I kind of think he's going to be trying to keep it at range and just, outpointing Pichel across 3 rounds. And if that is the case, he's not going to even sniff anywhere near 100 points. So give me the less there on Bonfim fantasy score. Gordo, what do you like it for prize picks?
Yeah, it's someone who I'm definitely be talking about in a few minutes as well. But let's take, you can either play the fantasy score over. No, let's play the fight time under with Eduardo Mora, 10 minutes. I do think she goes out there and steamrolls Ruiz this weekend. A lot of things to say on this matchup. Pretty much, I do think we have a setup out for someone in Mora who is going to be the more physically gifted, better grappler, someone who's going to be able to use her finishing instincts like she does all the time. 8 of her 9 wins come by finish, a lot of them early as well. And I do think she slices through Ruiz, gets an early finish, and does so in under 10 minutes.
And then last but not least, Monk, what do you like it for prize picks?
Love those. I also had the Ismael Bonfim under 48.5, like Weezy does. I also had the Gabriel Bonfim under 118 because that is a wild score there. But I will give you Renat, and maybe it's because I'm a fanboy, I don't know, but Renat over 101.5 fantasy points. If he doesn't get it done early, which Zaleski has been finished 3 times in his pro career, 3 out of 7 losses. And his last finish was against Li Jingliang. That's right. He got finished at the very end of the fight, KO TKO. Li Jingliang took him down twice. Let's see, who else was it? Nurmagomedov took him down once, and then Benoit Saint-Denis took him down twice. And remember, Saint-Denis was fighting up at welterweight that fight, so he was taken down by the smaller guy there. I just think he's wide open for tons of rinse and repeat takedowns. Fakhretdinov is a goddamn beast, and I'm very excited for this one. I think either way, early finish, or if this one goes late, or even to decision, I think Renat Fakhretdinov has a great chance of paying off that 101.5 fantasy points with a ton of takedowns.
Yeah, that guy's a fantasy scoring machine, Fakhretdinov. We got Sneerius in the building. What is up, Sneerius? How you doing? All right, we'll move on now to our favorite GPP play. We'll kick it to Gordo. Who are you liking this week?
Yeah, there's a few names we could talk about. I was going to go with the one that I was expecting you guys maybe gloss over. That was someone I just talked about here in Eduardo Mora. I do think she is someone who is going to go maybe a bit on the overlooked side of things, considering we do have the Gabriel, Bonfim, and Jailton Amedia of the world, Vieira, Petrosyan. I do think she is someone who has a handcrafted matchup to go out there and have some success. She's going to have a huge height and reach advantage here, and she has that physicality that she implements towards her style. We just saw Ruiz go out there and get absolutely smashed over 3 rounds by someone at Almeida, who is more so of a jiu-jitsu practitioner, someone who is going for those submission transitions. Mora doesn't care about submissions all the time. She wants to go out there and she wants to cave your face in, and I think she's going to have the opportunities and the positions to do that against someone Ruiz this weekend. She's a friend of Almeida. She got here because she was able to utilize that physicality, and she has maybe the best opponent in front of her to allow her to use that physicality here this weekend. I do think Mora goes out there and absolutely smashes this weekend, and in doing so, hopefully comes in a bit under-owned compared to the high-value names around her.
All right, Uncle Weezy, who are you liking for a GBP play?
What do I have in here? It's Vitor Petrino for me this week. I think that there's just a lot of upside with him. Vitor hits so hard, and he mixes in the wrestling. When I look at Vitor's stats pretty much across the board in terms of output in the striking, output in not just at the distance striking, but in the clinch and ground striking as well, and then in takedown attempts, he's way above average in all of those categories, right? So, and with Bukowskis on the other side, I see somebody that's below average in every single output category. So even if Petrino doesn't land a bomb and sleeps this dude, which I think is the most likely thing that does happen here, I think that he wins a decision, and a high volume one at that. This guy's got like 14, 15 takedowns in 2 UFC fights. So yeah, you might as well take a shot on Petrino here and watch him pile up the points by the minute, be the more active fighter, and be the guy with all the finishing equity in the fight. And he's one of the lower priced guys on this slate that's a big favorite. So that's the guy I'm using this week.
Yep, I like it. I like it. For me, I'm going to go with Gabriel Bonfim, 9,300. I like him a lot more than his brother, who's 200 more. I think those price tags should probably be switched. But yeah, Bonfim's a beast, 100% finish rate. And what I like about Bonfim is he's pretty much dangerous everywhere. On the feet, he has a ton of power. And then he has probably one of the best opportunistic submission games in the UFC currently. So yeah, I think he is the first person to officially finish Nicolas Dalby. I know Jesse Ronson did it. That turned into a no contest. I think he officially does it here. I'm not sure if it's in the first 60 seconds, but I think it's going to come probably within the first round or two there. So I like Bonfim quite a bit at 9,300. Monk, who's your favorite GBP play this week?
Guy I just talked about. It's going to be Rinat Fakhretdinov. I think he's at a great price point of 9,100, 6.25 DraftKings points per minute so far over his 3 UFC fights, almost 11.5 at distance per minute for the wrestler, and almost 5 points a minute inside the distance as well. 122 points per win. The stats that I'm really looking at here, we do know Zaleski holes in his takedown defense, 65.5 over his UFC career, which is okay, but it's good for, barely top 50. He's 49 in the division, in the welterweight division as far as that goes. 16.6% of his total fight time he has been controlled. Just an average get up time as well. But the one thing that I love, and I mentioned it, I forget what fight it was last week, but we love ground strikes here. We love to play guys that can get takedowns and rain down ground strikes. 1.62 ground strikes landed per minute for Rinat Fakhretdinov. That might not sound like a lot, but that number is good enough for second overall in the division. So yeah, there is a ton of potential here with Rinat. I think Zaleski is a step up in competition, but I don't think it is the biggest step up in competition. So give me Rinat, hoping for a big one here. Love him for GPPs.
Yep, there we go. I like it. We'll transition into our cash play, and I'm right there with you, Monk. I like Fakhretdinov a lot this week for cash. I mean, this guy is very, very good at scoring DraftKings points, that's for sure. And he's only 9,100. He fits pretty well into a lot of my lineups. He's averaging 122 points per fight. I mean, the guy's ridiculous. He can wrestle. He has power on the feet, but I think it's that wrestling upside that can go out there and get a ton of points here. Easily 100 plus upside and a win there. So I like Fakhretdinov quite a bit. I think he's fairly safe as well, even though, like you said, it is a step up in competition. Gordo, who's your favorite cash play this week?
Yeah, my favorite cash play is someone who you mentioned for GPP, and that's Gabriel Bonfim, 9.3K. Like I said, he's not a perfect fighter, but he is someone who I think has a very high floor here, someone who is very, very dynamic. He's going to have a huge speed and power advantage here. And although Dalby hasn't yet to be finished, is someone who has been dropped before, who has been club and subbed by the Canadian GOAT, Jesse Ronson, drugs or no drugs. So in front of the home crowd here, it's Gabriel Bonfim, who is put in that co-main event slot to succeed. I do think he has a matchup that helps him to do so. And although I do think he has his defensive liabilities, Dalby's not necessarily the guy to take advantage of that. I do think the floor of Gabriel Bonfim is very, very high to allow him to prosper in cash, and I do think he is someone I'm looking to get towards at 9.3K.
Monk, who are you liking for cash this week?
Let's see. Love your guys' picks. I'm going to go with Eduarda Maura. I don't know how you say that, but Gordo already spoke about her. Love what he had to say. And yeah, I think this is a very, very favorable matchup for Eduarda Maura at 9,400. I am willing to pay that over Montserrat Ruiz. She's 5 foot tall, 6-inch reach or height advantage, 6-inch reach advantage. And like Gordo said, I mean, Eduarda is just going to get in her face, either knock her down, take her down, and hopefully finish this fight ground and pound. So hopefully, and like he said, I believe it must have been his prize picks pick was under 10 minutes. That would be nice. Under 5 would be even better. So yeah, I'd be very, very surprised if Ruiz, even though she is a 3-fight UFC veteran, would be able to get it done over the newcomer. She might have 3 fights, less than 10 minutes total fight time for Conejo. So yeah, give me Eduarda here for one of my favorite cash plays at 9,400.
And then Weezy, what do you got for cash this week?
I mean, I'm going with Jailton. He could wind up sleeping like 3 seconds into this fight. We all know that. Like, I could just see Lewis doing exactly what he did in the Lima fight, just like sprinting at this dude and trying to hit him with something because he knows he's getting taken down. But that's the point. He's getting taken down. I mean, I had to look twice when I looked at my stats. This guy Almeida is so dominant. He's so dominant, dude. 93.67% control time for 0% control time allowed. This dude has absorbed two significant strikes in his UFC career. He's had 5 fights. 3 fights he's absorbed 0 significant strikes, and the other 2 he's absorbed 1. I mean, you want to talk about dominance. You want to talk about a guy who literally takes absolutely 0 damage and goes out there and finishes every single fight. Yeah, you got to pay 9,600, but guess what? You can punt. You can find a couple guys in the mid-range this week and then fill out the rest of your lineup with big favorites, and one of them could be Jailton Amedia at 9,600.
Yeah, makes sense to me. This guy's a ton of upside. All right, moving on to our favorite value play here, and we'll start with you, Monk. What are you liking for some value?
Well, on the short notice, I'm going to go with Elves Brener here at 8,200. I mean, love this matchup. Do we have a salary here for his new opponent, Mr. Kanan? Don't call me Krzyzewski.
I don't think so.
Well, I can only assume he's going to be a duplicate salary in the low 7Ks or somewhere down there. It's not going to be high either way. They generally don't touch salaries once they're already given. So Brener should have that $8,200 price tag, which was the closest line salary favorite salary on the card. It now can't be that close. I mean, I think I looked earlier, he was at minus 240, something like that. So he should be somewhere up closer to the 8,600, 8,800. So inherent value right off the bat for Elvis Brener. You also get, with that inherent value, incredible toughness. This dude's had 2 UFC fights. He went all 3 with Tukagov, won a split decision. Yeah, a lot of people say maybe he lost. The stats say if that's the case, he barely lost, and he was 6,600 that week. Then he beat a guy named Guram Kutataladze, who everybody regarded as a very decent lightweight at the very least. I wouldn't go as far as to say gatekeeper, but he was a few rungs above that, and Brener dealt with that dude, finishing him in the 3rd round, completely breaking him in the late 2nd round. So I love what I'm seeing from Brener. Love the short notice here. Yes, Kanan looked pretty decent on the Contender Series. We only have less than 3 minutes of tape on that. I'll gladly push a bunch of chips in on Brener at the extremely low price tag, fighting the newcomer at 8,200. So yeah, give me Brener, tons of value, I hope, on that play.
Yep, I put that down as well. I'll give a different one, though. I'm going to go with Victor Hugo at 7,300. It's a striker versus grappler matchup, and with Hugo, he's going to go after it. He's going to try his best to get the fight down to the mat, and if he is able to get the fight down to the mat, I mean, it only could take one time for this guy to get a submission. He has a ton of submissions on his record, knee bars, heel hooks, triangles, arm bars, rear naked chokes, you name it. This guy has every sub in the book. His ground game is absolutely no joke. And like I said, if he takes him down just once, that very well could be the fight. So I don't mind some Victor Hugo, especially at this price tag, but I think it has to be early, and that's kind of why I like him here. Weezy, who you liking for a value play this week?
Yeah, it was definitely going to be Brener, but I'll give you guys Vinc Pichel this week at 6,700. I think it's a great punt play this week. This guy doesn't get finished by strikers. He gets finished by grapplers, and I mean mauler grapplers like Gregor Gillespie, like Rustam Habilov, dudes who throw you through the canvas when they take you down. Vinc Pichel is going to dance. He's going to stay safe. He's going to land some strikes. He can absolutely mix in takedowns, and why wouldn't he when you're coming against a guy like Bonfim, who's been submitted 4 times in his career? So when you're trying to get some of these guys in your lineup, you want Mora in your lineup, you want Almeida in your lineup, you want Gabriel Bonfim, you want Fakhretdinov, you want Petrino in there. You're going to have to be down in that range somewhere, and I think one of the ones that can maybe go a full 15 minutes for you and grind out a close fight and get a couple takedowns, I think that's Pichel. 6,700. That's value.
Yep. Yeah, I want him in my cash lineup, but I'm 100 away from being able to get him. So I can't quite get him, but I tried to get him. Gordo, what do you like for a value play this week?
Yeah, Brener is someone I have written down here as well. When I saw Kanan fight, I didn't know what Kanan I did my tape on him originally. I knew I was going to be fading him in the UFC, and I didn't know it'd be this soon, but I probably will end up doing so here. I will like to go refresh myself, but from what I remember from Kanan, a lot of defensive liabilities. I do think he has some holes in his game, and I do think that Brenner's resiliency and ability to go forward is going to help him look like hindsight value at 8.2K. Second option I have here, someone you guys have already mentioned a bit, so I'll keep it short, and that's Rodolfo Vieira, 7.9K. I think that just his win condition is hindsight value, right? It's to me, it's truly close to a 50-50 fight here. But if Vieira wins, it's early on. It's probably coming by finish, and it's scoring very well in the process. And I think I did end up picking him in my video. I think it's a really close fight, and I do think that although Petrosyan has survived those early spots before, no one to the same extent of the skills that Vieira has. And I do think that his grip, his strength, his submission ability on the ground is able to potentially get him a first-round finish. And in doing so, is going to score very, very well in the process. 7.9K would look like hindsight value with a win.
Yep, you could definitely look hindsight value with a early finish there. And then last but not least, we got the dart throw. And I'm going to kick us off here. I'm going to go with the ultimate dart throw. This guy's always a dart throw, and that is one Derrick Lewis at 6,600. Weezy mentioned it. Jailton never gets hit. But, you know, what's going to happen if he does get hit? What's going to happen if Derrick Lewis lands a flying knee, a big uppercut? How's Jailton Ameida going to react? We really don't know, and it only takes one with a guy like Derrick Lewis. With that said, though, if he gets taken down, it's over. But I think for the first 30 seconds, I think Lewis is going to try to blitz him, get him out of there, especially coming in here on short notice. And that's kind of how Lewis has been fighting recently as well. I mean, he's been going after it very, very quickly there. And Jailton Ameida has been knocked out in one of his losses. So I don't mind Lewis as a dart throw. He's always a dart throw. And if he does win, it's probably a 30-second knockout here. Monk, who's your dart throw for this week?
Yeah, we're going to echo a bit of what Weezy said and go Vinc Pichel here at 6,700. This is, in fact, in my opinion, a great punt play as well. And he is fighting the Bonfim brother that is not undefeated. In fact, the one that has 4 losses in his pro career. That said, Pichel does not have any sub losses. And that is how Bonfim has been finished in all 4 of those losses. But what Pichel is tough. Yes, he's also almost 41. In fact, he'll be 41 before December of this year, so it is a bit scary. I'm picking Bonfim to win, obviously, but I think there's a chance here. I think there's a chance that Pichel could rise, in fact, like you said, from hell, and maybe get a greasy split decision here. I really don't expect that in Sao Paulo, but I think he is worth a pick for a punt play. I think he's worth a dart throw. And with any luck, I don't think he goes out here and gets finished in the very first round. So yeah, give me Vinc Pichel here. Awesome mustache. Top 5 easy mustaches in the UFC.
Pretty decent mustache. I know that Gabriel Miranda has a really good mustache that he debuted.
He's on the list for sure.
Weeks ago. It was really good. Pichel as well. Yeah, there's some good
Dos
mustaches.
Anjos.
Yep. Oh, he's a classic one. Gordo, who is your favorite dart throw here?
Yeah, nothing says dart throw more than Derrick Lewis, and he said it himself. He actually comes out very, very fast to these fights. 137 miles per hour fast, actually, is how fast he comes out here.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see how he's able to do. Other than him, though, down low, I think there's two guys who really have that round one finish potential. Another guy that's already mentioned was someone that Monk talked about. That's Magomedov. I think he's another good dart throw because his path to victory is a first round finish. And I love Kyle Borralho. I bet on him every time, but we have to say that he keeps his head up high and anyone can capitalize. It's probably Magomedov, right? So his path to victory scores very well. Both Lewis and Magomedov, I think, are round one or bust, allowing them to be very good at high upside dart throws.
And then Weezy dart throw for this week.
My dart throw this week is going to be Caio Fernandez. And once again, I think Mark wins this fight. But if Caio does get a win, I think it's an early finish. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's very aggressive from his guard. And he's got legit power on the feet, especially early in fights. So maybe the unknown debutant can get an early finish and butts a slate here. And that'll probably be at pretty low ownership because people don't know who this guy is. And it's the first fight of the night. So 7,600 Caio could be a pretty interesting low-owned option with a lot of upside.
Yep, I think if he does win, it's probably like an early club and sub type situation there. All right, what we're going to do now is move on to the results from 2 weeks ago at this point. If you guys have any questions in the chat, be sure to type them in, and we'll get to those shortly after. And then also, if you have not liked already, be sure to like and subscribe. All right, so 2 weeks ago,
I just sent him when I got. Should be fresh in the chat.
There we go. I got it. So this was UFC 294 2 weeks ago. In fourth was Monk. He had Muhammad Mokaev 101, Nathaniel Wood 38, Chimaev 92, Peak 88, Volkanovski 4, and Victor Henry 11. Monk scored 336.51. Second place is Gordo. Third place is Weezy. He had Muhammad Mokaev 101, Chimaev 92, Nurmagomedov 92. Makhachev 113, Henry 11, and then Warley Alves 4. Weezy scored 415.08. Second place is Gordo. We had Nathaniel Wood 38, Chimaev 92, Makhachev 113, Magomedov 97, Peak 88, and then Elliott 29. He scored 458.76. And then in first, ever so slightly, it was me with Victoria due to COVID 77, Chimaev 92, Makhachev 113, Dumas 63. Peak 88, and then Tim Elliott 29, scoring 463 there. And then overall record, we are 37 events in, right, Monk? 37 events in.
Yep.
In fourth, we got Weezy with 14,437. Third is Monk with 14,499. Gordo with 15,210, and then myself with 15,345. Gordo is 135 behind me. Weezy are 845 behind me, and then Monk is 908 behind. So we're 37 cards in. What do we have? 6 cards left, I think. 6 cards left, including this week.
Yeah.
So, yep. So we're getting down to it. Interesting to see how it all shakes out there. So I'm gonna scroll through the chat here, see if we have any questions. Again, 12-15% is twerking for Dana White, and
That's Eileen Perez's job.
Yeah,
you fight her for it.
And I don't think
Gordon Levitt too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think Levitt's fighting.
Did you see the Chase Hooper post where he's got, you got to fight the best, you got to learn from the best, and he's reading Twerking for Dummies.
All right, I don't see any questions, so we'll give our quick picks and then head out of here. We'll start with Uncle Weezy. What are your quick picks for this? Oh, thank you, Gordo. Lineups for this week. We'll start with Weezy. What is your lineup for this week?
Okay, up top, Jailton Ameida, Vitor Petrino, Mark Diakese, is that right?
Yeah.
I guess it is. Okay, yeah. Elves Brener, Rodolfo Vieira, and Vinc Pichel.
Wait, that didn't sound right. That's a lot of big money guys. Can that fit?
Well,
No, I
Pichel's
think it can.
6,700, Brenner's 8,200, and Rodolfo's 7,900. So,
Okay, that makes sense.
it's Almeida, Petrino, Diakese, Vieira, Brener, and Pichel.
Oh, we're pretty close. I have Almeida, Fakhretdinov, Diakese, Brenner, Vieira, and Lewis. We're two fighters away there. I think you have Petrino and Pichel. I have Fakhretdinov and Lewis. I wanted Pichel, but I couldn't get him. Monk, what is your lineup for this week?
I've got Eduardo Mora, Renat Fakhretdinov, Denise Gomes, Elvis Brener, Rodolfo Vieira, and Abus Magomedov.
And then Gordo, what do you got for this week?
I got 6 Brazilians with me this week. I got Jailton Amedia. I have Eduardo Mora. I have Elvis Brener, Rodolfo Vieira, Caio Fernandez, and Victor Hugo.
All right, 6 Brazilians. And then we do have a question here. Yo, my name, Deshaun. He says, who's got a better chance? Someone who beat Strickland or someone who lost to Strickland? Elias Zaleski or Abus? I'd say probably Abus has a better chance to win the fight. Any thoughts on that, guys?
I'm personally not counting out Elias Zaleski dos Santos. I think that he could have a chance. However, the cards are stacked against him here. So for that reason, I have to agree that Magomedov probably has a better chance of the two, but both of them are smaller chances.
Yeah, I think they both lose personally.
Yeah.
Monk, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. And the upside of Abus, it's like he's like a brand new, Mercedes. It looks good on the lot. The highlights look good, but the second you drive that fucker off the lot, it loses value. And every second Abus is fighting and not winning by KO, TKO against Bio, he is losing value.
That's true. Especially because he is coming in here on short notice, which I was kind
Yeah.
of surprised to see he was doing something like that with his trash cardio. But all right, quick picks for this week. We'll start with Uncle Weezy. What are your quick picks for UFC Sao Paulo?
Okay, they are Almeida submission round 1, Gabriel Bonfim submission round 1, Rodrigo Nascimento by decision, Caio Borralho by decision, Petrosyan KO round 3, Bonfim decision, Marcos decision, Fakhretdinov submission round 2, Petrino KO round 2, Angie Hill by decision, Eduardo Mora by decision, Mark Jacase knockout round 3. And I haven't looked into the Brener fight yet, but I'll just say Brener by 3rd round knockout. So I can
Gordo says round 2. So.
Okay, fair enough. We'll go with Gordo has researched the fight. I haven't.
Okay, that makes sense. Gordo, what are your quick picks for this week?
Yeah, sure. We'll go with Jailton Amedia round 1 KO. We'll go with Gabriel Bonfim round 1 submission. Let's go Rodrigo Nascimento. Let's say decision this time. Caio Borralho round 3 sub. Rodolfo Vieira round 1 sub. That one's really 50-50. I could change that pick anytime. Ismael Bonfim decision. Elvis Brener round 2 KO. Daniel Marcos by round 3 KO. Renat Fakhretdinov decision. Vitor Petrino round 2 KO. Angela Hill decision. Eduardo Mora round 1 KO. And Mark Jacase decision.
All right, I'm going to take Almeida sub 1, Bonfim sub 1, Nascimento sub 2, Borralho sub 3, Vieira sub 1. Wow, I'm picking all submissions on the main card there. Ismael Bonfim decision, Marcos KO 2, Fakhretdinov decision, Petrino KO 2, Hill decision, Mara sub 1, and then Diakese decision. Monk, what are your quick picks for this week?
We're going Almeida 1 sub arm triangle, Bonfim over Dalby decision, Nascimento decision. Why is this fight happening again? Abus Magomedov round 1 KO TKO, Vieira round 2 RNC, Bonfim round 2 KO TKO, Brener round 1 RNC, Marcos decision, Fakhretdinov decision, Petrino round 2. I'm with you, Gordo. KO TKO round 2. Denise Gomes over Angela Hill. KO TKO. Hill was dropped by Mackenzie Dern.
Oh,
guys, Mackenzie Dern. So I don't want to hear the Hill's never been knocked out nonsense. There's a first for everything. Eduardo Mora round 1 RNC and Mark Jacase over Caio Fernandez by decision.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, we're going to kick it around. Weezy, what are your plans for tonight for some content?
Ask Weezy, 10 o'clock Central Time. I'm going to be debuting the new Significant Strikes template. That's a very high-level analytical tool to play significant strike over-under props on Bet Online, on Underdog, and on Prize Picks. We already have the Prize Picks totals out, so we can check out all that information. You can just jump in the chat. I'll open up my database of UFC statistics. You can ask me any questions you have about any of the fighters or fights on this UFC Sao Paulo card. It's an absolute banger. So 10 o'clock Central Time, check that out. I'll do a greasy 4-leg parlay on my channel on Friday. You can always find me right here on Pub Sports Radio 3 times a week, breaking down fights, doing it every damn week. So let's stack cash to tickets like flapjacks for UFC Sao Paulo and bathe in the blood of our vanquished DraftKings enemies. Let's go, you guys. Let's go.
Let's go. I thought you weren't going to say it for a second. I was getting a little nervous. Like, is he going to say it? But Weezy always gets to it. Gordo, where can they find you, and what do you have out for some content this week?
Oh, I missed that one. Never get old. Me, myself, you can find my content at Plays and Fade Sports on YouTube. My full card breakdown, DraftKings and betting prediction is now live. You can check that out there. I will have a Best Bets video out probably Friday, as well as doing all my premium content with Daily Fan MMA podcast we recorded with Brett Apley tomorrow afternoon. So check me out on Twitter at Gambles Gordo, YouTube Plays and Fade Sports.
There we go. Check him out. And then Monk, what do you got going on for this week? Any nickname shows? We have a Ronda on the card.
We do have yet another Ronda on the card. Yeah, I'll at least give out the parlay. We'll try to get it done here tomorrow night. Otherwise, Game Theory's got to finish editing that here tonight. So expect that probably tomorrow late morning-ish for sure. All 13 fight DFS breakdown. Then me and Lou, Monk and Lou's happy hour Thursday, 11 p.m. Central Time on the MMA Engine. So be sure to check that out as well.
There we go. And you guys can check me out on YouTube, DFS by the numbers. My main event predictions out, my full card predictions out, and then I'm going to be getting out some DraftKings content sometime tomorrow, and then going live Friday and Saturday. Best of luck, everybody, for UFC Sao Paulo. Like on your way out, subscribe on your way out, and we'll talk to y'all very soon. See you later.